Moving on, one additional thing you will notice that when I click over here, yes, we get the event triggered. But if I click anywhere else in the entire page, let's say over here, this event gets triggered. If I click over here, the event gets triggered. If I click over here, the event still gets triggered. The click event on the body gets triggered. And the reason for that is there is a process in the DOM called event bubbling. So actually, remember I gave you a homework to read the introduction to events. This actually has a section, if you did your homework, about bubbling. So if I just Google bubble or find this in this page, it should be over here. Bubble, let me find it. All right, here it is. So there's a process inside the browser called event bubbling and event capturing. What that simply says is that when any event happens on whatever element it happens, so let's say there's a video element over here, and you click on that. So let's say the click event triggers on this particular video. So if there is an event handler attached there, that's going to trigger, of course, naturally, we know that. But after it's done that, the browser is going to go to the parent of the video element and see if there's a click event over there. If so, it's going to trigger that. And then it's going to go up to its parent. And it's going to keep on going up to the parent, to the parent, to the parent, and trigger their respective click events only. It's not going to trigger any other events other than the click, because the click activity actually happens. It's not going to trigger the double click handler or the mouse hover handler. Only the click handler is going to be triggered. So the act of the browser to bubble up or go from the child element all the way to the parent elements and triggering their event handlers is called bubbling. So back to our example, when I click over here, I'm going to just select this element. I go to event listener. There is no click event listener over here, so nothing happens. But then it goes to its parent, which is the form. There's no click handler over here. There's a submit handler, so it doesn't care about that. That doesn't get triggered because we actually clicked. So nothing happens over here, but then it goes to its parent. Nothing's there, so nothing happens, but then it goes to the body. And the body, it finds the click handler, so it submits that. So in our example, this is not a useful behavior. So to prevent this behavior, to stop the propagation or stop the bubbling, there's actually a method we have available. So if I just put this on the side and go to our code, so this particular callback function runs, and just like all the event handler callback functions, it also gets an event object. And this event object has an additional good method called stop propagation. So what this does is when any event happens on, let's say, this particular area, let's say if you want to prevent a click happening on this particular area, right, any of the child elements, then it's not going to bubble up. It's going to stop that. So that would happen, but that's not a good use case because on line number 23, this event handler is attached to the body element. So what would be a good idea if you want to prevent this propagation from happening is we would actually attach a click handler to this particular div element so that any click that happens over here, it's going to stop till this point. It's not going to go outwards. So what we will do is we won't use the stop propagation over here, but instead we want to attach it over here to the div with the class of app. So over here, I'm going to come and say const app is equal to document dot query selector and then ID of app. I believe it was ID. Oops, it was class. So I'm going to say dot app. And now I'm going to make a copy of this and say app dot add event listener, and I will do event dot stop propagation. Save. And now I'm going to refresh. So now if I click over here, the body click handler runs. But when I click over here or anywhere over here, the click event is working. But since there's no click event handler over here, nothing triggers and it doesn't leak outside. of this particular area, right? The app. So that makes the job done for us. So now we can proceed and continue our feature that when a button is clicked over here, we want to clear this particular area. So that's pretty much it for this video. This event bubbling is a very critical concept and can prevent a lot of bad code and bad behaviors if you intend to make these kind of features. Talk to you in the next lesson.